It has been nearly 2.5 years since Illinois legalized recreational cannabis, and a lot has changed in that time when it comes to the marijuana industry and culture. But by the same token, much has not. Amanda Vinicky joins us now to explain. Amanda.
Yeah, Brandis, we're reporting this story on 420, and that is a date that has come to be associated with marijuana, and companies in the cannabis industry are celebrating. I'm talking contests, concerts, panels with experts, a yoga workshop, and don't forget some food specials, including pieces of pizza with, yes, those are jalapenos and flaming hot Cheetos served on top of those slices. But State Representative LaShawn Ford says Illinois has failed to live up to the promise of the recreational marijuana law.
People that we intended to be emerging in this market have not yet emerged because they are still tied up in court. And those are the Black people and brown people really that actually have been a target of the war on drugs. So right now, the law for the intent has failed.
Now, the governor touted Illinois' marijuana law as a path to right those wrongs with promises of so-called social equity. Instead, the only places, as Ford alluded to, where you can legally buy weed in Illinois now are those that are connected to dispensaries that opened back in 2015 when Illinois opened the doors to medical marijuana. You could call them legacy owners. Another 185 groups competed and won state licenses to open new dispensaries under that social equity promise. But they are still waiting. Complications, questions about that lottery process, and lawsuits filed, including by those who lost a license. Now, Ford says that flaws in the original bill that Illinois legislators passed opened the state up to that litigation.
People are ticked, and they have every right to be ticked because they put their life investments in this, and they may not be able to weather the storm.
Count Frank Cowan among them. He did win a license with the group Planet 13 Illinois, and he has plans to open a dispensary. He says this one's going to be different, not like some shops where it looks more like a doctor's office. He says he wants this to be different, maybe with retail or a restaurant. But all of that on hold. He does have financial backing from a group with multi-state national presence, so he's able to hold on. Still, the location is in limbo, and he says he's worried about those who don't have an access to deep pockets.
We're still spending money on attorneys. We're still spending money on zoning experts. I mean, we're spending money and we don't have, an end in sight. There'll be some of us, when I say us, I'm talking about us 185 lottery winners that won't be financially situated to open because this has taken so long. People have lost employees because of this. People have lost financial backing because of this.
There has been plenty of, green since Illinois legalized recreational cannabis with nearly $1.4 billion of sales in 2021. Still, Cowan says that there's a lot of missed opportunity.
If I were open, I would probably add about 200 jobs, not to mention all the other 184 applicants that would be adding jobs. If we were all open, instead of the state generating 1.37 billion, we probably generate closer to $2 billion because there'd be more locations across the state. And with that extra $630 million, there'd be more tax revenue generated as well. So the state is losing out, employees are losing out, and we're losing out. The only people that are winning are the legacy dispensary owners.
State Representative Curtis Tarver says that Illinois erred in the first place. They were super cautious. He says the state was super cautious about being careful to not invite lawsuits by prioritizing too much social equity applicants and ownership applications submitted by people of color and women. And instead, it is those, he says, who can least afford it, who are beset by litigation.
I think immunity guards is forever gone, but that does not mean that there's no opportunity. I don't think we'll ever get where the promise is that we would have been. But my hope and my very little bit of optimism is that we'll be beyond where we are today.
That is, Tarver says that once the courts weigh in, Illinois will be able to make some moves. He also is calling for more money to be spent to uplift and incubate businesses that are run by people of color. Now, meanwhile, other related issues are still plaguing the cannabis industry. Craft grow licenses that were awarded to companies to cultivate marijuana are seeking the ability to grow more than the limited amounts that the law allows. But that change did not pass in the recently adjourned legislative session. Those in on negotiations say that part of why is because those who are currently cultivating marijuana are pushing back on potential competition. Illinois also did not act during the recent legislative session on an effort to prevent companies from firing workers who tested positive for marijuana. Meanwhile, Cohen is trying to make folks aware of the stalled license situation.
People in Illinois, they don't realize that, you go to your local dispensary and there's no black and brown people that own any of those dispensaries. The Illinois touted how much of a success this program was, but people don't know that it's an utter failure because none of us have a physical location that we can go to and try to be profitable. We're trying to create generational wealth for us and our families. And we're getting shot in the foot because Illinois is stagnant on their entire process right now.
Now, the marijuana law did other things, including paving the path for expunging crimes associated with marijuana. So essentially clearing the records for those who are convicted of crimes dealing with pot that would now be legal. The Cook County State's attorney says that on Friday, she will present 214 cannabis cases to be expunged. Kim Fox's office says that will make it a total of 15,000 expunged cases. She says there is still about 600 more in the system, but there is insufficient data to process those, some of which are cases dating back decades. With that, back to you, Brandis.
Amanda, thank you. And of course, we'll see you again later in the program as well with the rest of our Spotlight Politics team.